Welcome to 2020, and as is tradition around here on the Schwinn Stites channel, we gotta go through the entire bike lineup that's gonna start 2020. Currently speaking, there are 10.5 bikes that could easily be ridden at any time right now. Yeah, I guess we could try and count some of the other stuff, but I think it makes more sense for something that you could jump on right away and actually go ride. In zero particular order, with zero particular reason, let's get started. First up is my Specialized LA Sprint. This bike actually did make an appearance on the channel a little while back in a video, but I don't think a lot of people actually fully noticed it. It was in the video quite a bit, but no one asked about it, which was like a little bit surprising, but at the same time kind of solidifies my thought that just expensive bikes aren't as interesting as stuff that you kind of mess with. But it was posted as the comparison bike in the video Your Bike Sucks on November 15th, 2019 of last year. That was when it was introduced. I got this bike because it was posted up for a crazy cheap price, and I've always wanted to own something like this, but there's zero that needs to be done to it. All I'm gonna do is ride it when the summer comes around. I kind of compare it to what supercars are like. Yeah, they're really cool, but all of them are the same. The same description can be had about every expensive bike, from this thing to whatever it is that Cervelo just came out with. There's nothing crazy interesting about them. They are high performance machines. They're very cool for that reason, but once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. What it is a Specialized LA Sprint frame set with Reynolds carbon wheels, NV carbon aero bar, Dura Ace drivetrain, yeah, all that kind of normal expensive stuff that I normally would never ever be able to own. I just got lucky. I got lucky because no one else bought it before I did, and the price was just too good to let it go. Next, kind of a channel favorite, the Chinelli Vigorelli. Another bike that actually I acquired because it came up for such a good price and I was able to get it before someone else did. This frame set was bought to replace the silver bike, which was kind of a beloved bike on the channel, but I never really loved it. It was kind of a means to an end type thing. Basically a means to an end that this made. The Vigorelli frame set was introduced in a video called Don't Tell Angela, and that was on January 9th of 2019. So almost I've owned this for just about a year. It feels like a lot longer than that because I've made so much content with it, and it's probably the bike that I rode the most. It's funny, this bike I got some flack for building something that looks a lot like what pro crit track racers would build, and I had this opportunity to build something cooler. But I think it gets lost every so often when I'm talking about cheap budget things and trying to do things and hack things together that I'm not interested in this stuff. The problem is always just money. I love cool Instagram, internet bikes, and I always want to build them. Basically what I'm trying to do with everything I build is try and emulate that look for the least amount of money. When the opportunity arises to try and build something that's kind of emulative of that, I take it and I do it. Next bike, very familiar face on the channel, the Poseidon X. I think we all know everything about this bike. It's been the center of a lot of different videos. This bike started to make its debut literally 364 days ago. I shot a video called Peer-to-Peer Coaching, and I had brought the box into the shed. I didn't build it for another 2 or 3 days, and from there with it we shot a review of it being the stock form that it was in. This bike has gone through a lot of changes in the last 365 days, and I've done a lot of documenting of that through the channel. It'll get another change probably within the next 2 or 3 months, just with some stuff that has shown up that I haven't shown you yet. Quick breakdown of what this is. Aluminum Poseidon X frame, carbon fork, Velocity blunt wheels laced to SLX hubs, the stock brakes that are Tektro that came with it, cable pull on SRAM levers, and it is a mix of 11-speed and 10-speed parts. Oh, and most importantly, tan walls, WTB tan wall Riddlers. Everything's listed below. You can go buy most of this stuff through the links below. Four, honestly probably one of the more famous builds throughout the entire channel, the dirt cheap gravel bike build. Actually, as I've mentioned a couple times in a few different videos, this is not the original dirt cheap gravel bike. That frame, which is right there, was too big, so I swapped out for the smaller steel Norco Rideau. So while the original dirt cheap gravel bike was built long before this bike was assembled after the fact in a video called The New Dirt Cheap Gravel Bike, and that was posted July 20th, 2018. So this right now, so far, is the only bike that actually was in last year's fleet call-up as well. Fenders are SKS longboard P45s. They're linked below. I guarantee you'll be happy with them if you buy a set. Next, Schwinn Stites. This is the, it's like $250 to get. It showed up on the channel in a video called Okay, This or That. It was kind of like comparing building this thing to the Vigarelli. That was posted August 11th, 2019. I ride this bike from time to time. I like it. There's of course things that I'm gonna kind of tinker and like upgrade away with. Yeah, it's just like a different feeling fixed gear than what the Vigarelli is. The Vigarelli is such a track crit race bike, and this is like, you know, a little more upright, city, weird geometry. The gearing is so much easier, and yeah, it's just fun to have like something kind of different. Next, the replacement carbon crux. I bought this because I wanted to have disc brakes for racing cross. I didn't race cross one time this entire year. This frame, scary enough now that I'm actually looking at when I acquired a lot of these bikes. It was introduced to the channel in a video called They're Getting Better, and that was posted on March 2nd, 2019. And I vividly remember buying it earlier than that because I had to get a friend go pick it up in a different province for me. So that means that the Poseidon, the Vigarelli, and this were all kind of acquired probably within a month and a half of one another. I definitely remember my bank account going down as all these things started showing up. And that's why I couldn't do anything for the first half of the year. Next, Schwinn Moab 1, still dirty from the last time that I went and rode when Dan and I were shooting drone footage and it was like the downhill winter race. This bike, along with its matching mate in 650V size for Angela, showed up in a video called There's Two of Them, and I posted that on the channel July 17th, 2019. I am happy with the performance of this thing out of the box, but it is just like an inkling too heavy, woven, or a light bicycle. I'm looking at you both. Next, speaking of the felt, this thing has been in the channel, well, since it started. It's been beat up, it's had its rear derailleur ripped off, it has had the rear derailleur rip some of the frame off. I'm pretty sure that this seat stay is cracked and possibly not safe to ride anymore. Really what I want to do with this thing, replace it with something that's a dual suspension bike and just be rid of this. Next. I kind of get a kick out of people asking what this thing is when I'm like riding it at the beginning of a video, because it literally has its own complete dedicated build video. It's called A Proper Boxed Bike Build. And I posted it September 25th, 2019, so not even very long ago. Not to mention that video has almost 9,000 views, so did you miss it? This was the last of the bikes that were sent to me for 2019 for creating content with. This is a aluminum road bike, carbon fork with a aluminum steer, sealed bearing hubs with Alex R500 rims, generic aluminum stem, generic aluminum bar, Shimano 105 11 speed, a compact chain set, really big seat post diameter seat post. That's actually too short. If you were like, well, I'm thinking about getting into road riding, like this is the bike that people describe to you when they're like, don't settle for anything less. They say 105, aluminum, carbon fork. You gotta have the 105 crank. It's gotta have external bottom bracket. Yeah, I ride this in the winter when it's like dry and not gross out. That's why it's still in such good shape, because I don't want to ride the LA Sprint, which is right here. No crazy story about this bike. Next, what's the last? I'm not gonna bother bearing it out because it's covered by everything right now, but my BMX has not changed since the channel started, except for possibly rebuilding the front wheel. It's the same as last year. Now to the last half of a bike that's left over. Almost willing to guarantee you can probably guess which one it is. Easily the biggest fan favorite for the entire audience of the channel. It is the Brompton Cross, the bike that has been a part of almost every experiment that I've ever decided to do to a bicycle throughout the life of this channel. Still lives from the beginning to now. This is a bike that'll have sentimental value to myself and this channel until we're done. It's been everything. It has been a single speed. It has been one by. It has had SRAM. It has had Shimano. It's had smooth tires. It's had big tires. It's had cross tires. It's been a cross bike. It's been a monster cross bike. It's been a road bike before. Now it is what it's becoming now. And I don't know, well, I don't know what that is yet. We're still working on it. Basically what we're trying to do is give it the life that it deserves for everything that it's done for us. All right, that's all the bikes that I have currently that are totally rideable in the shed right now. They don't all live in here all the time because, well, because we'll look at this. It would be too much. I wouldn't be able to move around. But yeah, this is like the first year that I actually put like a lot of thought into like the true difference that 1 year has had in the fleet. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens for 2021. Anyway, Happy New Year. Thanks for watching.